Hey guys, I'm Deepthi Desikan and today's video I'm going to be doing a half and half. So it's going to be Swiss Beauty versus Mass Cosmetics, and I got this idea from one of you guys who suggested that I compare Mass Cosmetics products with Swiss Beauty products because there are quite a few overlapping products, very similar products. So that's the reason I wanted to do this video. And now if you're wondering what is up with my voice, I have been sick on and off. So I'm sounding really nasal and I'm not able to shout and talk as much. So if my voice seems a little bit and if I am a little bit low in energy, it is because of that, because I'm just recovering and my skin is going through things. So this is a look I created with both these brands. I didn't really use any false lashes, you guys. And so if the eyeshadow doesn't look blended or if it doesn't seem put together, lashes always make most of the looks look a lot better. And so yeah, I will talk about my take on these products towards the end of the video. Now let's get into the tutorial comparison of sorts. So on this side, we're going to be doing Swiss Beauty, and on this side, we're going to be doing Mass Cosmetics. So I will be starting off with the eyebrow products. Let's start off with Mass Cosmetics on this side. So this one is their micro precision brow pencil, and I think this one is in the shade brown. I'm not very sure. So this is what it looks like. I feel like this eyebrow pencil is really nice, but it can be a little bit rigid. I do quite like it, but you do have to put a lot of pressure. And on this side, we have a spoolie. So I'm just going to be brushing the hair in. So now on this side, I'm going to be using the Swiss Beauty eyebrow pencil. This one is in the shade dark brown. So this is like a wooden pencil. So might not be a lot of people's favorite, but I do like it. This doesn't come with a spoolie, but it does come with an eyebrow brush, so that is a little bit easier to brush the eyebrow hair in. Now moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to be using these two eyeshadow palettes. So this one is the Swiss Beauty eyeshadow palette in the number 04, and this one is the Mass Cosmetics eyeshadow palette in Smoke It Up. So they have somewhat like a similar color scheme, and the reason I'm going to be doing this is because I want to show you guys a comparison of their matte shades, the shimmer shades. I always talk about these two palettes in comparison, so I wanted to show you guys that as well in today's video. So this is how it looks like, pretty similar in terms of color. So let's get started. So firstly, for transition, I'm going to be taking this shade right here. On the Swiss Beauty side, I'm going to be taking this shade. That is a lot more pigmented than the shades, so we need to build this one up because we don't want it to look like a stark difference. We want it to look a little bit similar. And then for the outer corner, taking this shade on the mask side. Taking a similar shade from this palette, that is the Swiss Beauty palette. Swiss Beauty matte shades are a little bit more pigmented than the Mass one itself. Like the Mass one also has pretty good pigmentation, but the Swiss Beauty eyeshadow palette has a little bit more pigmentation and it's not as soft as the Mass Cosmetics palette. Then to add a little bit more definition to the outer corner, I'm going to be taking this dark brown shade. I'm taking this shade from the Swiss Beauty palette. This doesn't seem as warm as the one from the Mass Cosmetics palette. This one seems like it does have a little bit of a more cool tone look. On the eyes, you can't really make out that much of a difference. And now moving on to the shimmer shade, which is my favorite from this palette. I'm going to be taking this golden shade from the Mass Cosmetics palette. So this is what the shimmer shade in the Mass Cosmetics palette looks like. Now taking the shimmer shade from the Swiss Beauty palette. So both the shades are a little bit different, but you can see that this one is a little bit more shimmery looking and this one is like a very foiled, just a subtle shimmer shade. So I actually have liquid eyeshadows from both the brands, so let's try that out as well. So I've tried to pick up as similar shades as possible. So this one is from Mass Cosmetics and this one is Swiss Beauty. So the Mass Cosmetics one is in the shade Gold Beam 02 and the Swiss Beauty one is in the shade Gold Goddess. So applying the Mass Cosmetics liquid eyeshadow. So this is what the Mass Cosmetics liquid eyeshadow looks like. It's not as pigmented. You can see some bald patches and you can see the base eyeshadow actually from this. Now taking the Swiss Beauty liquid eyeshadow in the number 01 Gold Goddess. I feel like the Swiss Beauty one has a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more of an oomph to it as compared to the Mass Cosmetics one. Now I'm going to be leaving it at this, cleaning up later. It looks like a mess, but once we're done with liner, lashes, it might look a little bit better. I am not the most comfortable with liquid eyeshadows. I feel like they don't give you that very put together look sometimes. It's a little bit harder to blend them as well. And then we're going to be moving on to eyeliner. So these are the two eyeliners I have from the brand. This one is Mars Cosmetics and this one is Swiss Beauty. They look so similar, and even the way they look on the eyes is very similar. Let me show you guys. So first, applying the Mars Cosmetics one. So this is a felt tip liner. So this is how the Mars liner looks like. It gives you the precise line you would want. Now moving on to the Swiss Beauty one. Again, the same kind of eyeliner with the felt tip. And then for mascara, I have these two mascaras. Again, I feel like they would be a little bit similar. So let me first show you guys the Mars Cosmetics mascara, my favorite. I've mentioned this in every single video. It has a really nice big applicator. It adds a good amount of length and volume. Can be clumpy for some people, but I don't really mind that. And now trying out the Swiss Beauty mascara. The wand is a little bit different. It's not as thick as the Mars Cosmetics one. I feel like this one is more lengthening and not as volumizing as the Mars Cosmetics mascara is. Now moving on to the face. To prime my face, I'm going to be using the Sugandha Calendula Oat Cream. I have this for quite some time and I want to, like I mentioned in my previous video, finish up my moisturizers. It is a pretty thick moisturizer and I really like it. It's very hydrating, especially for people with dry skin. If you have oily skin, it might be a little bit too thick. And then now for glow products, I have two products, of course, from Mars Cosmetics and Swiss Beauty. They add a very nice glow to your base. So firstly, trying out the Mars Cosmetics one. This is a little bit more natural looking than the Swiss Beauty product. It doesn't have like very stark shimmer particles. It does contain shimmer, but not large shimmer particles that will be visible through your foundation or under certain lights. But I do, however, feel like the Mars Cosmetics Take a Glow Primer has a little bit of a white tint to it. So that's not very deep skin tone friendly or even medium skin tone friendly. Even for me, you can see it will have a little bit of a white cast. Can you see that tint? So on this side, I'm going to be using the Swiss Beauty Real Makeup Base Highlighting Primer. This one is in the shade Gold and this actually looks pretty good on my skin tone. It has a little bit more of a dewiness to it than the Mars Cosmetics primer and doesn't have that tint. It has a more nice creamy texture to it and a little bit more slip. Now for foundation, I don't really have any foundation from both of these brands because they're not very vast in terms of shade range. So I'm just going to be using this Faces Canada Runway Ready foundation. I got it a while back and I have been using this. I feel like it's a really nice natural looking foundation. So I got a pretty good shade match in this as well. I just didn't want to use any and every product because it's just going to wreck my base and you can't really see the point of this video because they don't really have a lot of shade range, especially Swiss Beauty. Mars Cosmetics, at least they have their BB cream, which is really nice. Okay, now moving on to concealer. For the Mars Cosmetics side, I'm going to be using the Mars Seal the Deal concealer. This one is in the shade Pure Beige, I think. No mention of the shade on the tube. Again, not a very good shade range. It's a very light concealer. As you guys can see, it's very highlighting for my skin tone. And then now for this side, I'm going to be using the Swiss Beauty concealer pen in the shade 02 Creamy Beige. Now this one is not the most inclusive in terms of shade. They have like one deeper shade as compared to the other one. And then now to set it on the Swiss Beauty side, I'm going to be using this translucent powder. Make sure you use very light amounts of this because if this gets into your nostrils or anything, you end up with a very bad allergy. So just be very careful. It has a lot of kickback. So if you are very allergic to all of this, do not get this powder itself in the first place. And then for the Mars Cosmetics side, I'm going to be using the Mars Cosmetics setting powder in the shade Translucent. Now quickly finishing up my lower lash line, which is going to be off camera because there's not much to do. And then for kajal, I have these two. This is from Mars Cosmetics and this is from Swiss Beauty. So now trying out the Mars Cosmetics kajal. This one is in the shade Black. And then on this side, trying the Swiss Beauty kajal. It looks exactly same like the Mars Cosmetics kajal itself. I feel it's not as pigmented as the Mars Cosmetics kajal. You do have to tug and pull a little bit and you can see my eyes are watering. And now for contour, I got this one. This is a bronze highlight cream contour palette from Mass Cosmetics. This is all that they have. They don't really have a blush palette as such. So I thought I'll use one of these shades to cream contour and see if this works. This is quite affordable as well. It extremely has a very stark red undertone. It can almost work like a blush shade, you guys. It's like really red. I did try swatching this shade. This would work a lot better as a contour shade as opposed to that one. For bronzer on the Swiss Beauty side, you can get their concealer palette that they have from Swiss Beauty, but I just have this palette already, so I thought I'll just use this. So I'll be using this shade to contour / bronze. I'm thinking of using one of these shades itself as a blush. Yeah, it did work out to be a nice blush shade. And on this side, we're going to be taking this shade. This is a matte blush. They have two sheeny blushes as well. The matte blush is a little bit like drying for my skin type. I feel like it does cling on to the texture on my skin. And then quickly going to be spritzing this side with the Swiss Beauty Makeup Fixing Spray. And on this side, I'm going to be using the Mass Makeup Fixing Spray. This is called Magic Shine. I just hope that this doesn't add any glitter particle to my face. I hate the nozzle on this, you guys. It just squirted the product everywhere. But it does add a little bit of a glow. And then now for the lips. On this side, I'm going to be using the Mass Cosmetics lipsticks, and on this side, I'm going to be using the Swiss Beauty non-transfer lipstick. I have so many of those. I'm just going to be picking out some similar shade. So on one side, I have the Mass lipstick in the shade Mum's Favorite, and the other side, I have the Swiss Beauty lipstick in the shade Brown Maroon. They are very identical shades, and that's the reason I chose these two shades. Let me just do a quick transfer test. Both of the lipsticks are not transferring at all, and I feel like the Swiss Beauty one is a little bit more comfortable, and the Mass Cosmetics lipstick can dry your lips out just a little bit, but I feel like that one is slightly more long wearing than the Swiss Beauty one itself. But you can choose according to your comfort level and pick up whichever formula. Both are really nice and pretty much identical. And I just realized that I haven't used highlighter at all because I had kept it aside and I forgot. So let's try out the Swiss Beauty highlighter in the shade number 01. Such a beautiful highlighter, but can emphasize texture, of course, because it is a powder highlighter. And on this side, I'm going to be using the Mass Cosmetics Wonder Highlighter. This is what it looks like. It's a beautiful shade and it's very similar, and it's a very soft highlighter again. I feel like it is a little bit more softer looking than the Swiss Beauty highlighter itself. And now if you have texture and you don't want it to be emphasized, do not bring it all the way here like I did. So yeah, this is pretty much it. This is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I have to talk to you guys about some of the products. So coming to the lipstick, both of the shades are very similar. This side I have used the shade Mum's Favorite, and this side I've used the Swiss Beauty non-transfer lipstick in the shade Brown Maroon. So both of these very similar. You can choose whichever one you want. I really like the formula of the Mass lipstick, but I can say that it can be a little bit drying for a lot of people. It is a matte formula. It goes on creamy like butter. It glides on like butter, but it settles to a matte formula and can be drying over time. Whereas the Swiss Beauty one, I don't find it to be that drying. It is a little bit creamy as well, and it is very long wearing as well. Like, both of these are transfer proof, nothing is transferring, so it depends on whatever you want. However, I do feel like the Mass Cosmetics one, especially underneath mask and all that, is a little bit more long wearing. That's it, just a little bit more long wearing, but you have to keep in mind that it can be a little bit more drying as well. So you can choose according to the shades you want, the formula and everything. Now let's move on to the eyebrow product. So the Mass Cosmetics eyebrow product is this one. It is a little bit stiff and waxy. It does apply, but you have to tug and apply a little bit more pressure to get it to show up, especially if you have very sparse eyebrow hair. I feel like you do have to apply a lot of pressure to get it to show up. Whereas the Swiss Beauty one is a wooden pencil, so it would work really well for people who have sparse eyebrow hair. It helps you to define it. It is not very creamy. It's not very like emollient where it will move up and down. And it also is staying in place pretty much. It doesn't move as much. So in this you get an eyebrow brush, and in this you get a spoolie, so you can choose whatever you want. And then moving on to the eyeshadow palette, I feel like all these days I was not comparing both of these side by side, and somehow I was using the Mass Cosmetics one a little bit more because it's a little bit more handy packaging. It comes with a mirror, and it has two shimmer shades, but the matte shades in the Swiss Beauty one, as you guys saw clearly, has more pigmentation, whereas these are a little bit more soft and subtle, but they blend beautifully. This one gives you a really nice soft blend, whereas this one you can go a little bit overboard and it can end up looking a little bit patchy. So just keep that in mind. But both of these really good eyeshadow palettes, just that this one comes with only one shimmer shade, and this shimmer doesn't have that reflex to it. It's more like a sheen on your eyelid, whereas this one has that reflex to it. So yeah, I really like both of those eyeshadow palettes. I just choose the Mars Cosmetics one over that because of the shimmer shade. And then the liquid eyeshadow, the Mars one and the Swiss Beauty one, I feel like the Swiss Beauty liquid eyeshadow does give you a little bit more of that oomph, that sparkle, whereas this one is a very subtle wash, but it also looks a little bit more blended and a little bit less clumsy. I'm not calling my eyeshadow look the best. It doesn't look blended because I tried my best, you guys. I feel like with liquid eyeshadows, most of the times it's a lot safer option if you use false lashes because it doesn't look as clumpy and messy. Again, similar price range and similar shades as well. And then we move on to eyeliner. Both the eyeliners are very similar. Whatever is cheaper, you can pick that up. And then the kajal as well. I like the Mars Cosmetics kajal over the Swiss Beauty kajal because I feel like the Mars Cosmetics one is a little bit more creamier and a lot more pigmented. You don't really have to tug and pull on your eyes. So Mars Cosmetics one it is for me. And then for mascara, of course, the Mars Fabulash mascara is a clear winner over the Swiss Beauty mascara, at least for me, because I feel like the Swiss Beauty mascara gives you the length, but it doesn't add volume to your eyelashes, whereas this one does do that. And then let's move on to the face base products, the Mars Take a Glow primer and the Swiss Beauty real makeup base. So this one has a really nice gold tint to it. It's a little bit more hydrating, whereas this has sort of like that whitish tint to it, and this has very subtle shimmer particles as opposed to this. But underneath makeup you can't really see the shimmer particles as much, so I would recommend this one over this because it just looks a lot better on our skin tone and you wouldn't really get a white cast. You guys can see that even with foundation on top of it, my base was looking a little bit ashy. It's because of the Mars primer. It was adding a little bit of a tint to it, but it's a really nice product, just that I wish that they expand the shade range. So until they do that, I think I would definitely stick to Swiss Beauty primer and recommend that to you guys as well. And then the concealer, both of these very similar concealers, very creamy on the under eye area. It's not very drying. It does give you sort of like a light medium coverage and doesn't cake or crease as much, and good concealers, but this one has a slightly better shade range compared to the Mars concealer. The Mars concealer comes in just 4 shades and all of those pretty much similar shades, whereas the Swiss Beauty concealer has a deeper shade as well. And then the powder, both of those are really nice finely milled loose powder, but I prefer the Mars Cosmetics loose powder slightly over the Swiss Beauty loose powder because the Mars Cosmetics one doesn't really have that much of a kickback and it doesn't really hit your nostril as such. And then let's move on to the face palette that we used. This and this. Both of these are not really my favorite palettes. This, yeah, you can make it work. It's really blendable, but the contour shades have a lot of red undertone to it. It's okay if for the price. This one, again, it's a little bit pricier. This is for 495 rupees and it's kind of chalky and rigid on the skin, and especially if you have dry skin, it does cling on to dry patches, so I think you can avoid this. And for highlighter, both of these beautiful highlighters. I really like both the highlighters, how they look on the skin. It can emphasize texture if you do have texture because it is sort of like a powdery highlighter with a lot of shimmer particles to it, but I really like both of this. Very subtle, very nice highlighter. You can choose again depending on the shade you want to pick up, the price point and everything. And setting spray, both of these are pretty good, but I really don't like the nozzle of this one, so I would recommend the Swiss Beauty Makeup Fixer. This one does add a little bit of a glow to it, but it's not good for people with oily skin. So if you want a really nice affordable setting spray, you can try this one out. It does contain fragrance in it and it is pretty strong as well, just letting you guys know upfront. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Let me know what other comparison videos you would like to watch with brands with similar products. Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know your favorite products from both of these brands. I would really like to know. And while you're at it, give this video a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.